Welcome to the Life Endurance Podcast, where we study methods of unlocking your true potential and exploring the greatest endurance race we all partake in, life. I'm your host, Austin Shadle, and today I got a quick episode for you, spurred from a thought I had while competing in my first 50-mile ultramarathon. So I have episodes recorded that are more deep dives into how to build your goals, a bigger vision, and using that as your focus moving forward in life. But while I was running this race, I had a thought of where that really comes in the moment, and how you need to think about things when you're faced with adversity and you're not feeling like moving forward towards your goal. So while I was competing in my first 50-mile ultramarathon in Crested Butte, Colorado, this thought popped into my head. I whipped out my phone, made a little voice recording. I was about 22 miles into the race, so almost halfway. Now, the weeks leading up to this race were very not ideal. 2 weeks out, I was traveling for work, and coming back from that work trip, I caught COVID. 1 week out from my first 50-mile ultramarathon, I spent basically 3 days mostly in bed, definitely very sick, and then while it did clear up mostly after a couple days, I obviously was not anywhere near 100% the rest of the week leading up to the ultramarathon. And you'll also know, if you're training for some big race, typically a couple weeks out is when you're still doing some bigger miles, and then you taper kind of going into the race. Well, I went 2 weeks out from the race, running only 4 miles that week due to travel, and I guess you could say maybe some laziness. And then a week of trying to just keep my body moving in any capacity so I'm not just a stiff brick going into that race. So on top of that, I made a scheduling blunder. When signing up for races, I forgot, the only thing I have planned in September is to go see my favorite band in Denver that I've been waiting years to see, that are from Australia, Parkway Drive, if you got any metalheads out there. And I had no intent of skipping that concert. So, not only was I still sick from having COVID a week before, I also decided to go to a concert over 4 hours away from the race the night before of the race. So fortunately, my parents came in clutch, and I got to at least attempt to sleep in the back of my mom's car while they drove me through the night to the race. But as you can tell, none of that really lines up with good prep for a race. But nonetheless, if you can't tell, I'm a little stubborn with these things. I still went into the race, had every intent to finish, and honestly, for pretty much the first about 30, maybe even more miles of the race, I was hacking up along about every 5 minutes. Just miserable. My body was not prepared for that kind of movement after 2 weeks of very minimal movement. While the COVID pretty much passed after the first 3 days, I was obviously still had some pretty intense cold-like symptoms. Very not ideal for running a total of 8,500 feet up mountains over that 50-mile race. But this is where the thought came to my head, and I was thinking how this is an example that can apply everywhere in life. So when I made this quick little recording while I was running the race, I was approaching an aid station. And if you were to give up on one of these races, that would be the place to do it. You got volunteers with some sort of weight, contact the other volunteers, and you'd be able to get escorted off the route. This isn't like your typical run race where you're doing laps through, say, a city or some populated area. These races occur deep out into the wilderness, typically. So as I was approaching the aid station, I was like, okay, I'm sick, I'm tired, body did not feel good. By the end of that race, my left knee just felt utterly destroyed. And in my head, I'm like, all right, there's 2 ways to think about this as I'm coming up to this aid station. So you can ask yourself 2 questions. Question number 1 is, do I feel like I want to keep moving? An honest answer to that was, no, not really. I'm sick. I've done 22 miles through the mountains, climbed thousands of feet. So, the answer to just that simple question is no, I don't actually feel like I want to keep moving. But when you come to those points and you're chasing a goal and times are just tough, this isn't the question you want to ask yourself. You want to ask yourself a question about the bigger picture. And for me in that moment was, do I want to finish this race? And my answer to that, of course, is yes. This is my first 50-mile ultramarathon. I went to all this trouble. I started this race. Yes, I'm in pain. Yes, I'm sick. But there's nothing that's actually life-threatening at the moment. I know physically I can move forward. Maybe I don't feel like I want to, but I know that I can. And this is the answer that matters. These are the questions and answers that are going to drive you in the moment. So at any time you're struggling, it could be any sort of goal, whether it be school, work, a hobby, training for a race, you're trying to lose weight, and you're thinking, question number 1, do I want that donut? Yes, of course you do. They're delicious. In the moment, it feels great. But that's not the question that counts. That's not the question you want to think about. The question you do want to think about is, do I want to lose this excess weight? Do I want the confidence that comes with that when I look in the mirror or take my shirt off at the pool or the beach? Maybe you have a vacation coming up and you know there's going to be pictures, you know you're going to not want to have to worry about what you look like. And that's the question that matters. That's the answer. The answer is, yes, I want to look good on vacation. I want to feel confident and lose that weight. I like the feeling that comes with more than that momentary feeling of eating the donut and then having disappointment in yourself the rest of the day. This is what I want you to take away from this episode. And as always, this is also a reminder to myself. It amuses me sometimes that, I can have this mental fortitude when I'm 22 miles into a 50-mile race up and down mountains after being sick for a week and basically getting no sleep the night before. Somehow I can just be like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to finish this race. But when I'm walking through Walmart and I haven't eaten, how easily I can just give in to picking up a thing of ice cream or a package of cookies. Even a reminder to myself that, okay, what question am I asking myself in the moment? Am I asking myself, do I want that ice cream? Yes, but that's not the question that counts. The question is, do I want to finally lose those 10 pounds that I've been meaning to so I can get back to my ideal weight where I feel better, look better, and even perform better? So it goes to show how, there's just so many factors of life, but if you can really dial in these self-development principles and tools like this and know when to initiate them in your mind, it can apply in so many places, and that's just really the key, is getting those fundamentals down and being ready to apply them to all aspects of your life. This could apply to relationships. In the moment, maybe you're frustrated, you want to lash out, and that would briefly feel good, but you have to think bigger picture. How is that really going to affect your relationship? Is it going to make it better or worse? Are you going to regret your actions later in the day? Just so many places this can apply in life. So I urge you to think about, what are those questions you're asking in the moment? Can you ask yourself a different question that's bigger picture and more focused on your goal to help guide yourself to making better actions, better decisions, and ultimately taking steps forward towards those goals that are going to make you feel way more fulfilled in life than those small, brief moments of pleasure or relief. So that wraps up today's episode. I really appreciate you listening. And if you did like this episode or any other episodes that I've put out, please just take 30 seconds, share it with somebody you think you could benefit from this. I really am making these podcasts with the intent of just trying to help as many people as I can improve their quality of life and achieve their goals faster. If you're interested in learning more about my life and following along my ultramarathon training, look me up at The Endurance Beast on Instagram, or you can look me up Austin Shadle on other apps and websites. Feel free to reach out with any questions, comments, and concerns. And with that, I hope you have a great day chasing your goals, and I look forward to sharing the next episode.